China was not ready. The president was not ready. I wasn't ready. I was like, they going crazy. Whew. Guys, Erico here. So I'm sure that you've heard, unless you've been under a rock, about what's going on with China and just these protests that have broken out. There are many people that are rising up and they're saying that, you know what, we're tired of listening to people telling us, you know, just listen to us, just stay low, just stay locked down. They're tired of restriction after restriction. And I've done a couple of videos on this of people being locked in their houses and them worrying about older people and them not having food to eat, them getting food from the government and they're getting stale rice balls that are who knows how old, people screaming out of their windows for help, singing in unison, shining lights, because they are tired of these restrictions and the government constantly coming out and saying, this is for your health, listen to us. And then the restrictions are lifted, and now there was one final restriction, and that right there was the last straw. And also what really lit this match as well was that there was a building that caught on fire and it was over 10 victims that lost their lives. And I say more than 10 because there were skeptics who were saying that there was more and that the government just did not report on it. So people said, you know what, the censorship, them constantly putting these restrictions on us and we're not knowing what's going on. We feel like we're not being treated as humans, and then they're looking at the rest of the world just going on about their lives. And there was always this slogan where people were saying in China that, you know, China knows how to protect their people better than other parts of the world. And I believe many Chinese people believe this, and there's still people that are on the side of the government and the president. And they're saying, you know what, we have to abide by these guidelines. But then there are also many people that are saying that enough is enough. We're going to die. We need more information. We need to go on about our lives because we're going crazy. And now the protester broke out, and it's even more crazy because, of course, you have the authorities that are coming and trying to swoop people up. They're trying to stop people from talking. We have the different varieties of protests that are not only in China, but in America, as well as India. And everyone just standing up and saying that, you know what, this has gone too far. And I feel for everyone that's involved in this because you don't want to feel like you're being suppressed. And then for the Chinese people to be suppressed and then kind of go along with it because they feel that it is for their best benefit and not really rising up any time in history except for when they felt like that it was something that really has gone too far. And for the president and for the Chinese government to put these restrictions on their people and not give them any kind of information, there's no end in sight for a lot of these restrictions. They come and they go. You need to communicate with your people instead of just feeding them like, oh yeah, well, because we are the government, you just need to listen to us. So we have Chinese people who are fighting back. They're fighting the authorities. They're thinking of many different ways to protest. They have the blank sheet of paper. They are addressing the censorship. Them once again having their voices taken away. Because they're citizens and they should be able to voice their opinions and tell the president and tell the government when they have gone through so much suffering over a virus that is still very much around, but it's more controlled. So then you have to think deeper, and it's like, well, what is causing this? Why would the government do this again? And if you really look into it, it has to do with their healthcare. So, China always talks about how they have everything figured out and everything together, their economy is booming and all of that. But if you look back at the history, the healthcare has not always been very stable. And even when this virus first broke out, there were a lot of people that were getting sick. They didn't have beds. The healthcare could not sustain what this virus brought. And the president and the government, they're afraid of that still. They're afraid, if we let people go free from these restrictions, what if an outbreak happens? The healthcare will not be able to sustain that. And that's the problem. And it's something they have to work out, but to confine people. To have people constantly crying out for help and saying that, okay, we're fine. We'll work it out. We don't want to be caged up like animals anymore. We want to move on with our lives. We want to have more communication with the higher ups so that we can all have a better resolution of what is going on. It's really a lot. And now people have carried on so bad that there is a spokesperson that's coming out and saying, we might lax some of the laws. We might change things because the Chinese people, they're going crazy.
Question came up at the Foreign Ministry's media briefing.
Given the widespread display of frustration with the zero COVID policy, is China considering ending it soon? And if so, when?
The uncomfortable silence of a non-answer stretched on and on. China's government appeared not to have a plan. In some cities, including the industrial powerhouse of Guangzhou, life snapped back to...
And that they're saying that you're going to hear us. You're going to see us. And something is going to change. Because if it doesn't, we're going to continue to protest. We're going to continue to fight. And I don't blame them. What happened with Hong Kong. And now it is right at mainland China's front doorstep. And I'm glad it's happening. I'm glad when people can address a problem. And I'm not always saying do it with violence. But address it so that your voices are heard and so that something can be done, and continue to address it. Because the way that people were being treated, it wasn't in a professional manner, it wasn't in a humane manner that I felt like should have been done. And to see that many people still, they had to constantly go through that. It wasn't a one-time thing. It was, okay, here it is, then it ends, and it's like, no, you got to go back again under lockdown. It's like, how many lockdowns we gonna have? It's like, literally. So I feel for them. This virus is still very much around, it's still a thing, but I think we're at a point now where we can handle it using some common sense. So you guys, this is a lot to think about. Follow my social media, mostly my Instagram. Also have a blog on East Asian pop culture. The link is always down in the description box below. And remember, be real, stay real, live in the real, and I will always be back. Thank you guys for watching. How do you feel about this? Put below your thoughts. Do you agree with China and their citizens? Do you agree with the president and the government? You know, put below all your thoughts. I want to see all of them. Love you guys, and I will be back in another video.